like to acknowledge that Adelaide always has been, well, according to Ghana elders, has always been a place of exchanging ideas, exchanging ways of life, exchanging material goods. So we hope that part of what we can uphold is that that ethic of continuing to share, continue to guide each other, and going forward toward a place where has a lot more positive impact on the world. And with that, we with the ethic of exchange, we also want to acknowledge that this land has been crossed by many of the bordering First Nations peoples, which include the Narrandjeri down south, the Pamarink up into the Adelaide Hills, and the Nadri and the Nukunu up to the north. And they've been on this land for thousands of years, multiple generations, and we hope to steward that ethic of custodianship. And thank you so much to everyone for showing up today. Really excited to continue one of the pillars of the Adelaide Sustainable Building Network's focus themes, which is our net zero focus themes. And what a great way to kind of kick off our 2024 net zero stream, focusing on digital analysis, ways that we're leveraging a lot of digital tools and solutions to help guide a net zero future. So thank you very much for the presentations coming up. Our approach to this event is that we're going to go through a series of presentations by some fantastic people. And after the presentations, we're gonna say we absorbed all that information, and then we're gonna reinforce it with a bit of conversation, nibbles, and some wine if you want to participate. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it allows all the information to be much more digestible after you break bread and have a little bit of wine. I'm sure some of you think I'm crazy for saying that, but it's scientifically proven. Just kidding. But after our presentations is when we'll have a panel discussion. So that's when you'll be able to throw your burning questions up to the panel. The one caveat here is that one of our brilliant presenters, Alex Bogdanova, unfortunately has come down with COVID over the long weekend. So hence why we've set up a Zoom situation here. So hi, Alex. All right, so I will up the volume here. And yep, so Alex is the essay lead for Mott MacDonald in regards to sustainability and digital sustainability. Is that right, Alex?
Yeah, computational design.
Computational design, exactly. And she's going to be taking us through some exciting workflows that they've been working on. So we'll have Alex first, and then we'll have Pia Daniels from Hubble, and then we'll finish off with Alice Todd from Val AI in succession. But Alex, are you ready to take it away?
Thanks, everyone. Just start a little timer for myself so I don't freak out halfway through that I'm rushing too much. So we will start with the precinct scale master plan and how we can address the early stage of design through computational innovations, or maybe not even as innovation as much in some pieces, but how together it can all bring positive outcome. So the question I want to describe is the urban heat island, which you probably all know about, but there are a lot of details about it that I think generally this industry in terms of architecture and construction engineering is not addressing yet. Let's start with the projections and what we're working with. We all know that there is increase of temperature, and depending on the projections, it's getting worse or better. But the statistics as we go now, by 2050, the temperatures will be approximately 2.5 degrees high across the whole Australia. that's what the map shows. But the numbers are also quite scary because this consistency and the likelihood of the event increased from 25% from a few years ago to 67% last year. So it means we're more likely following this RCP 8.5 projection at the moment, if not getting worse. So we really need to act unless we are ready to face this challenge. But what does temperatures mean over the year? If we're looking at the if we're working with weather files to do the analytical design for architecture. And to start with, we need to use the weather projections for the beginning of the project and ideally for the lifespan of the project as well. And here you can see the annual distribution of temperatures above 25 degrees. So at the bottom, you can see the month, and vertically, it's time of the day. And for the 2030, which is the expected estimation of the start of the project for large scale that we design right now, more or less, the occasion of these temperatures above 25 degrees is relatively high, but it's nothing compared to what we will see in 2090, the lower chart. But temperatures as well, they don't really mean much for us unless we understand the surrounding environment and a lot of other factors. But in terms of health and well-being, this is a very significant element here. If we start correlating these temperatures to heat stress, this is the chart taken from the same weather files, and without overshadowing, without wind protection, just purely this data from the weather file. At the moment, 2030, we're experiencing over summer, maybe 70% time comfortable. By 2090, this percentage reduces significantly below 50, but what's more critical that we start seeing this dark red brown color, which is correlated to extreme heat stress. And the reason why it's important that this threshold also correlates with the number of fatalities, because sensitive groups of people during the extreme heat events can experience significant issues. And if we look at the trajectory from the past, from even not too recent past, we're looking at up until 2011. This statistics is for Queensland, but in Queensland, over this period of time, the amount of fatalities due to the extreme heat is more than all other natural disasters together. And that might seem to be a little bit strange because we just don't see these numbers correlating as directly, and it's quite hard to also correlate it at the same time as the event happening because it can take some time. But the highlight of this slide is that we really need to look at the extreme heat, potentially even more than flooding. And there is a lot of regulation in terms of how to build against flooding or where not to build, but we don't really talk about heat as much. But at the same time, we can see that the technology is already developing, and City of Melbourne even created this app or website called Cool Routes, where it's like Google Maps. It gives you direction from A to B, but not in the shortest way, but in the coolest way. So it highlights the darkest spots, the shaded, the greener, and so on. So let's look again. What's the basis of urban heat? What creates it? And this is pretty much everything that we built. It's the built environment, it's the hard surfaces, it's the reflection, absorptivity, and all of that we surround us in the cities. So when you go to the suburban areas on the weekend in the nature, you generally can experience this relief from the heat because you're in the greener area and this bubble of heat doesn't concentrate around the city, around the suburban areas. And how we work with this also should be impacted by the typology of the project, but we can address this at each level, including from the master plan and street design to even infrastructure like bridges and rooftops and so on. If we look at the general information, how urban heat being addressed in certifications, majority, including Green Star, which is the main certification in Australia, previously used just a blanket rule of let's do 50% coverage of vegetation or light colored surfaces, which is by actually can have an even negative impact. This is way more detailed for this conversation, but we can have another chat if you're interested. The new Green Star released a credit called Outdoor Comfort and Urban Heat, and we proposed this matrix Universal Thermal Comfort Index that I'm going to be describing in a minute. And to our surprise, GBCA, Green Building Council of Australia, took it on, and it's currently included in the draft version of this credit. So I'm really looking forward to see how this can impact the built environment in the future. And I mentioned earlier outdoor comfort and how it impacts people. So what is outdoor comfort? It's a pretty complex thing by itself, and there are so many factors to it, including temperatures, radiation, wind speed, humidity, and so on, but also its activity levels, it's your clothing level, and even just not historical, your background, where you're coming from. And then you can break down temperatures. You have this dry bulb temperature, which is coming from the weather file. Then you can understand and calculate the surface mean radiant temperature, reflective temperature, and then combine it all together in operative. And this operative temperature is what we experience as users of the space. Wind, it's very critical item because it can help you to relieve the sense of heat stress, or it actually can make it worse during the winter cold days. Even I'm coming from Russia and experiencing cold quite a lot there, but I don't think I've been as cold as I am in Australia sometimes because of the humidity and how you in some areas don't have any wind mitigation and barriers, and it just goes through the whole city and blows the gusts. And again, it's the built environment itself. It's the surfaces, it's materials. But how do we actually can calculate it? So we have this workflow. For those who knows, it's in Grasshopper. It's visual scripting, nothing too crazy. It's been applied in this industry for quite some time. But the workflow itself is a combination of multiple studies. To start with, we take the weather file for the projected conditions, and we apply it for the scale of our project, including all of the surrounding buildings, to make sure that we addressing the condition of this reflected and, as I described, bubble temperatures. Then we also do the SANAO analysis, very simple study, but it very powerfully highlights issues of overexposure or overshadowing as problematic zones. So by doing this very quick simulation, you can narrow down the zones of assessment for more detailed reviews, because computational power is not always capable to run the whole precinct in one go, and you need to put your effort in something where it's actually needed. And it also helps us to analyze it over the year, and we do summer analysis and winter analysis because the requirements would be different. The computational fluid dynamics study, so wind, help to put another layer of the comfort, what we just discussed earlier in terms of the impact of wind, and then combination of those critical areas analyzed in SANAO studies with CFD and reflected temperatures. We can all combine it in this Universal Thermal Comfort Index study. The beauty of this study that you can run it over a year and over season or any selected period of time, and understand the percentage of comfort over the time that certain areas are performing. And then comparing before and after, you can see the improvement and what strategies are actually working and what not. In more details, just the workflow that I described, the comparison between winter and summer analysis. The same diagram, the same geometry, just a different period of analysis. And the colors represent amount of sun hour access to each surface. And we can see that in winter, all of these courtyards are very overshadowed. And if we don't prevent the wind flow significantly flowing through, we probably will be experiencing thermal cold stress. And at the same time, on the rooftops in summer, there is no shadowing whatsoever. So we probably will be seeing multiple factors, multiple downsides here, that the roofs will be inaccessible. People not going to be comfortable there as a first step. And second, it will reflect a lot of heat back into the other building because the law. Then the mean radiant temperatures comparison. So for this project in Queensland, we did a business as usual case scenario, and then added more trees and changed the reflectivity of some surfaces. And just through these two small variations, we dropped the mean radiant temperatures by 50 degrees. Sorry, by 20 degrees, from 70 to 50, which is quite a significant difference, considering we didn't change the road itself, neither the geometry of the buildings. Wind studies, how you can play with the landscaping and wind barriers to make areas for human access more comfortable. And again, this is the UTCI and how the proposed strategies improved the percentage of the year when the spaces are comfortable by 40%. And then this is the diagram. This is the metrics that we took partially from the City of London guideline. And there are a few other examples, but currently there is no prerequisite in Australia to calculate it that way, although we see it coming. So by colors, you understand the percentage of time when it is comfortable, and certain areas might require more or less. For example, if it's a playground where you expect people and families to be all year round, you want it to be in this nice and green category. Same for the coffee shops where people will sit and enjoy their time. Rather than more transient spaces, maybe something like bike lane, you still want it to be more protected and shaded. You don't want it to be super exposed, but potentially it doesn't need to be comfortable 100% of the time, especially because the comfort will be different due to the activity levels. So this is a very crude description, but just to give you an idea that you can prioritize and categorize the areas and also help the design team to identify which areas are applicable to what functions. So this is all coming up to this optimized precinct design, and what other elements can be included. So there are a few trends going around, like mobility, nature-based solutions, which is I see as more like a pill for everything. You can do greenery, and it helps with the urban heat, with mental health. It provides access for people, for cyclists, and everyone around. People generally gather around green spaces rather than just empty concrete shells. Then there is another factor, is work from home. And why is it important is that now we need to design for spaces in suburban areas differently. People don't just come home and work from the office. They spend time more in these suburban areas. It means we need to put more stress on creating safe and comfortable environments everywhere, not just in the CBD. And then there is a factor of energy that we all want to install rooftop PVs, but then at the same time gardens and how it impacts urban heat. This is all need to be analyzed together, not independently. And as a workflow that where you can consider urban heat, we started looking at this from the very, very beginning of the projects. And generally, if it work on a master plan with a client, with the government, they have a lot of existing data and GIS information. And these GIS spatials can give you information of existing tree canopy and infrastructure, because infrastructure is actually quite a big limitation on terms of what additional tree canopy you can provide and where. Because if there is already a lot of pipes going under the ground, you probably don't want and can't dig there because it becomes too complicated. So it helps you to identify areas and potential where can and how it can be improved. And then you do this multi-criteria assessment of, again, infrastructure, existing trees, additional trees, what materials can and can't be changed, where the bike lanes can be located. And together, when you have all of the information previewed at the same time, then you can make more evaluated decisions rather than just look at one aspect and decide for the whole project rather than considering everything else. Thanks to a lot of new tools that popping up even this year, AI visualization became a very affordable and accessible tool to help identify and present all of these ideas very quickly for general public and for clients. And then with the online dashboards, there are so many different options these days. Again, you present it for public presentation that more integrative, more interactive, and people can preview and experience this new design from the website of their home, sitting at home. And to make this happen, we use Speckle. Not saying that it's the only tool that's available, but that helps to connect all of the software packages together. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but the idea here is that we need to work with the all teams interdisciplinary and together, including transport, engineering sciences, like building physics, sustainability consultant, digital designers, architects, landscapes, clients, and so on. We just need to discuss these things more together and from the early stages of the project before the designs are resolved and before decisions are made. So this is the end of my presentation. I just want to highlight that we need to act, we need to work, and we need to utilize the tools and potentials that we have. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant, Alex. Thank you so much. While we wish we could ask you some more questions while you're here, the good thing is that Alex has jumped on the ASBN team, so she'll definitely be around at other events and continuing to be part of the network. But we just all hope that you can get some good rest after being a legend and jumping on and presenting, even though you're really sick. So thank you so much, Alex. We'll let you go, but hope you have a good night and rest up.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Now, actually, that worked out quite well in terms of setting the scene on just how integrated sustainability kind of needs to be, and also harking on that it is trying to take a lot of different inputs to be able to help analyze things quickly so people can actually make decisions. And I mean, talk about a perfect segue to our next presenter, who is Pia Daniels. And she's going to talk to us a bit more about Hubble, which is a homegrown South Australian, technically climate tech startup. Is that how you describe it? Climate tech startup. But their tagline is all around creating feel-good homes at scale with AI, and looking forward to learning a lot more about it through Pia. So Pia, welcome. let you fly that however you want.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks for joining me this afternoon. I think Alex started really well with just her overall presentation, setting the scene for where the environment is and how sort of we came about as a company as well. Some of the pain points that we're trying to relieve. So today I'm going to delve into how our AI-powered tools have been developed to assist decision makers, designers, even potential property owners on the path to net zero. So in the early days of business, decision making was often guided by intuition and experience. And while these methods had their merits, they often lacked the precision and speed required in today's fast-paced digital world. Enter the era of analytics, where data-driven decision-making became the gold standards. Our journey into digital analysis tools began with a simple yet powerful goal to provide insights that are faster, better, and more cost-effective. A number of years ago, I found myself in the midst of an epic saga after being handed a project in Victoria. So picture this, it was a house so extravagant, it was probably the equivalent of a luxury yacht. It was big, bold, and without a doubt was going to be guzzling energy, probably had its own power plant. Sort of what I envisage. So the homeowner's dream abode was failing miserably to meet energy efficiency standards, and there was no compliance solution. I spent countless hours playing email ping pong with the project manager, explaining the various issues at the time. The homeowner then decided to call me up, and in a tone of mild exasperation, but mixed with confusion, he said to me, "I wish someone had told me about this issue at the beginning." He then quickly followed that with a confident, "Well, it doesn't matter because the house has a solar system, but it's going to be completely heated and powered using gas." So we all know what the scene in Victoria is like. Not sure where that house sits right now at this stage. Sorry, I'm moving. Thanks. So while this scenario was rather unique, it certainly wasn't in isolation. Until more recently, designing for a net zero future was a bit of a niche area. So after more than 10 years working as an ESD consultant, I lost track of the number of homes that crossed my desk which failed to meet minimum compliance. After applying every solution I had up my sleeve, invariably the conversations would always go the same. The building consultant would say, "Well, what can we do? This project is being held up by this issue." And after gently explaining what the issues were in the house, I would suggest that we consider flipping the rear of the property so that the living areas of the house could be facing north instead of south, which would rectify most of the issues we had and optimise passive design. The response would generally always be the same. "Oh no, we cannot do that. We have approval for these plans and the customer is paid. If we had known about this at sales, we could have possibly made a change." So fast forward, and governments worldwide, with the exceptions of some, are pushing boundaries to influence industries to adopt better performing buildings. The global call to action set the stage for our mission at Hubble, which is to create digital analysis tools that help businesses meet these stringent standards efficiently and effectively. Despite the pressing need for energy efficient buildings, the changes and interest we see today are happening slowly. Many stakeholders hold biases and preconceptions that energy efficiency is more expensive or difficult to achieve. Our initial versions of the tool aim to simplify this process, but face significant hurdles in processing large data sets quickly and providing actionable insights. By leveraging the data analysis, we had demonstrated to governments that a high performance house can actually be cheaper. So back in 2012, for the Department of Climate Change and Energy Efficiency, we conducted over 62,000 automated NABERS assessments, which was an extremely impressive feat at the time. Our findings confirmed what was already suspected, that for a house, we're looking at this one in particular, that achieving a rating of 7.3 stars, which was well above the required 6 stars at the time, was entirely feasible without breaking the bank, and the costs could be quite comparable to building just to a 6-star minimum compliance. Fast forward to 2024, and we now have trillions of data points to support this. Our breakthrough came when we successfully integrated machine learning capabilities into the tool. And this is where we spun off from Suho and started Hubble. We were able to empower industry bodies to use technology for better decision making. Today, our digital analysis tool is empowering stakeholders across the building industry to make informed decisions with greater confidence. From intuition to innovation, long-held beliefs such as the inclusion of insulation can generate the greatest outcome can be shown in charts such as this. Here we can see in warmer climates, which is at the top of the chart, such as Darwin and Brisbane, blue and orange respectively, the plateau of performance hits at almost 0.5, an R0.5 insulation level. Whereas for the colder locations, such as Canberra in pink, I think you can see that colour, yeah, and Hobart in grey, it's a greater benefit from increasing the insulation levels. These insights are fostering collaboration between manufacturers and builders to ensure appropriate products are utilised for maximum benefit, helping save time on the project, reduce costs, and achieve better energy efficiency outcomes. The possibilities of data insight for the built environment were demonstrated on the 10-star house that was built by Suho at Woodford. This was an opportunity to demonstrate what is possible when contemporary construction materials, techniques, and interdisciplinary interactions meet. As part of the design and specification of the build, the AI-powered tools of Hubble were utilised to run 30,000 window options, which enabled us to find the most optimal window selection for the property. Now, hoping technology... Oh, I'm running a video. I'll run with the video then, sorry, I won't divert from this. So if we refer back to the undesirable designs I spoke about earlier, with the use of our digital analysis tools, we can take a quick snapshot of compliance, which you can see with all the red, which is a house in basically any location we can look at or any orientation, and we can do this in a matter of minutes. The initial designs, which are failing to achieve compliance, and now I'm trying to maximise the specification of this house by making small changes such as insulation and glazing. And even with UPVC double glazing, argon filled, we still can't get this house anywhere near compliance levels. So these issues can be highlighted and avoided in initial design consultations with a few clicks of a mouse, rather than progressing down a path that then leaves homeowners and designers in really sticky situations, basically. By leveraging this tool at the point of sale, this one's not auto-playing. Here we go. So by leveraging these tools at the point of sale, customers can easily select a site-appropriate design. You can see this one has more green on it and yellow, which is obviously better, based on stoplights. Initially, this featured design is triumphantly flashing some green scenarios at us, which is achieving minimum compliance with standard aluminium single glazing. Now, while I wouldn't necessarily recommend building with it, it does serve as an excellent foundation to optimise. Construction options can be tailored to maximise energy efficiency within budget constraints and further enabling occupants to enjoy enhanced comfort and achieve net zero. Our journey with digital analysis tools is just beginning. The future of our tools will relieve pain points and spark solutions ideas. As we continue to innovate and improve, we remain committed to delivering insights that are faster, better, and cost-effective. So remember the days when we had to rely on experience and intuition, hoping for the best? Well, we now have Hubble to back it up and make those gut feelings smarter. Thank you for being part of our story.
Thank you so much, Pia.
That's okay.
And not only driving efficient considerations and design, but efficient with time.
Yeah, sorry, that was quite short.
Goodness gracious. It seems like Pia wants to be able to get to the drinks and nibbles faster than the rest of us.
Yes,
No,
please.
just kidding. But of course, thank you so much for that presentation, showcasing just, a lot of these digital solutions are things that evolve over time, just like any kind of good idea. And also the extent of bringing sustainability considerations up to the forefront. So the more we can leverage these tools, the more we can make informed decisions to guide things that are probably end up becoming part of like a snowball sort of like effect. So hope you all have some good questions to be able to ask Pia a little bit later. And to round out our presentations, I want to invite Alice Todd to the stage, who will be presenting on Val AI. And I'm not going to even try to explain what Val AI is, because that's what Alice is going to be doing. But we'll just get this full screen, and then we'll allow you to take it from there. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you about what Val AI have been doing over the last 4 years. So we've already heard today about the commercial built environment and looking at the ways in which we can envisage the new homes of the future. Val AI are here to look at the existing residential assets that we have in Australia and what we can do to ensure that no home in Australia today is left behind in our net zero journey. So Val AI, I'm a Flinders Uni STEM alumni. My co-founder is a property valuer who's from banking and finance. We're here with a team of professionals from the sustainability, UX, UI and AI and machine learning space, really because we want to embed climate action into our economic systems. And for us, it was about how do we translate technology and innovation and make it come alive for individuals. And for us, it was really about taking that information and bringing it into our home, because the home for Australians really is where we make the most of our decisions. So when it comes to behaviour change, our team saw that that was the best place for us to be able to influence the way in which we do business in our country. So Val AI have some main pillars in the way that we undertake our work, and that's about climate literacy and the uplift that we need right across sectors in order for us to be able to reach our transition at the speed and pace that we need to. It's about financial well-being and ensuring that decisions that are made are economically sound and that everybody has the ability to be able to participate in this, because we aren't all the 1% who can afford the best buildings or the best properties, but how to ensure the uplift is ethically sound too. And that's where the unique part of action happens when it comes to climate. For us, what's very important is we tie our products and our services to behavioural science techniques and the way in which the financial sector can help trigger the right actions. Our mantra is that we can assist B2B enterprise organisations to grow their portfolio of residential assets while also continuing to reduce its carbon footprint. We do this through data-driven insights. So we primarily look at risk, climate and digital engagement solutions that can ensure that the data you receive is accurate and also incentivises underperforming homes to be uplifted. There's three main areas that Val AI spend our time. Our customers are generally within the financial services area, within businesses and also across community. Here are just a few brands that we've worked with in the past. There's many more, but these are the ones I'm allowed to show you today. It's important in business that we recognise with the built environment, we aren't talking about one sector. We're talking about many, many different sectors who have an interchange with property, from real estate professionals and property management teams to those that go into homes and conduct trade services, as well as those that insure them and those global reinsurers that ensure they can maintain their credit to be able to continue to work in the Australian landscape. So Val AI's products and servicing are broken into two things: data as a service and then our software products. Carbon Aware is our main product that we have available within Australia at the moment. It effectively allows large institutions with a click to be able to determine the emissions intensity factor or the carbon footprint of any residential asset that's sitting across their portfolio. So what does that actually kind of mean for the rest of us? It means if you insure your house, that company needs to know information about your house that they've never needed to know before. Australia is about 10 years behind the rest of the world when it comes to the task force of climate-related financial disclosures. We're slowly getting our asses into gear, may I say. What has happened though is for those big institutions who are being underwritten globally, they've been collecting this information for a really long time. What's been happening though in Australia is the federal government's been looking at making it mandatory that they have to start disclosing this information, not just internally to their shareholders, but also externally to you as a customer. It's getting delayed because in Australia we like to take our time on these things, but what is moving in the right direction is we do have new data insights that can help speed up this transition. So if you are hearing the rhetoric that there isn't enough information or there isn't enough flow where this has to occur, that's not the case at all. There are many institutions, ours isn't the only one, that's actually inferring this data right across many different portfolios. For us, Valii built some algorithms, both top-down and bottom-up approaches to determining the emissions factor or the risk of a residential property. A global reinsurance firm came to us and said, we've got a global model that we use, we've got to adopt it here in Australia, we think there might be some holes in it. So we ran a bunch of tests. We're an iterative company that does a lot of agile project management, so it was about getting a collaborative team in a room, crunching the numbers and finding some gaps in their analysis tools in order to make their product better. In doing that, we found that our product did find issues with theirs, and it helped them look at ways in which they could solve those problems quicker while they're working with their Australian customers. It also meant for Valii that we now have a product that has been benchmarked globally as an algorithm, and one that it does mean that we have the explainability that we require for our corporate clients to be able to be procured and work with them. Thanks to that relationship, they have supplied us with their global peril risk data. What that means is if you use our platform, not only can you see at a individual asset level and right through to a portfolio or a region, the emissions factor of properties, you'll also be able to overlay the 5 to 7 different climate risk assumptions that you'd like to see, as well as the risk associated with crime. Beyond that, what our product does is allows you to run scenario forecasting. Super important. If you're a bank, you've got a bunch of houses, you know they're old, you know they're inefficient, and you need to do stuff about it. What we can do is say, well, hey, what should you be doing? What is going to create the most change quickly? How much? I feel like Ken's PA right now. I'm just turning off a bit of like thing. That's okay. So what that means is by running scenarios, you aren't just allowing everyone to say, hey, we're putting solar on and we're going to run gas, so that's fine. We can actually look at helping them identify what the best new products or services they should be offering to their customers are in order to speed up the transition. And you as a retail consumer can then go to that institution and say, well, I'm thinking of doing something, but can you bundle the best options for me so it can make the best difference? Why does it matter? Well, it matters because if your property is less of a risk, in the future, you should be getting a better rate. You should be getting a better premium. Your insurance should be costing you less because you're less of a risk because you've transitioned your home to a net zero or a property that has a lower footprint than what it did in the past. So our carbon aware product's available currently here in Australia. We also have relationships in place so that if you aren't looking to procure a new software product for your company, but you would like to access that data, you'll be able to do so through third-party platforms so that it's a quicker speed to market for you to access that information. So our software as a service. For us, behaviour change is our why. It's great to have data. If you measure it, excellent, but then you need to manage it. So how do you then look when you know the risk of residential assets in Australia? How do you then look to incentivise the homeowners, the renters, the property managers, the governments and the other institutions that manage them to actually do any intervention or any uplift on those homes? So what we've done is built a variety of software as a service products that are generally white labelled. So you don't see us as a brand in Australia very often. There isn't a big marketing push or a large amount of capital that's put towards this. We instead like to, through a partnership first strategy, collaborate with institutions where we can come in with either your innovations team with other particular teams to be able to white label offerings and services straight to your customers so that your trusted brand is the one that's communicating the messages to your customers. We have, for example, a consumer action calculator. This allows you within under 3 minutes to get your retail consumer to be nudged towards what the top improvements are to your property, what the ROI is from a financial benefit, and then what products or services you might offer them to sweeten the deal. Our product will be in the hands of 1.6 million retail customers here in Australia through a banking digital app in the next 3 months. Last week I was in Sydney. We had Harvard's behavioural science team fly in and we did a whole heap of iterative work on that product. Lots of fun, can't wait to see it come to life. We also have a product called Assessor Pro, which is a CMS. So Victoria's largest member-based insurer white labels this product currently. What it means is that they can offer consumers in Victoria who've got excellent policy in place and probably are the leaders at the moment with the getting off gas strategy to homes. You can have a person that's trusted through your insurer come into your home, have a conversation with you about what this means. They undertake, using our software, a home energy efficiency assessment, and you're provided with a report. That report gives you the information about your home. It also gives you the ROI of every uplift intervention you could have. And that insurer, of course, just happens to own quite a lot of the hardware installation companies who can then undertake that uplift for them. So it means they can track, manage, report, and then underwrite any of the uplift that's done to those properties, ensuring that they're de-risking, but more importantly, they're a trusted brand that's servicing their retail customers. So it means that the consumer is brought along in the journey. The next phase of this project is then for a home energy efficiency report to be completed again so that the consumer can actually then, in really simple terms, in simple language, understand how by doing this, they were able to create a change, and we're channeling and pushing and nudging for that to mean that they'll actually get a better insurance premium as a result. The report is very user-friendly. The biggest barrier that we've found working within the sustainability space is the type of acronyms and language that an everyday consumer doesn't understand, doesn't know about. Our NatHERS rating system, while it's very robust and it's moving to whole of home, if you asked a consumer on the street what it is, why it matters, why do I care about it, how does it help me take action, it is not something that a consumer can understand. So Valii is here really to take some of these complex engineering experiences and convey them in a way that creates purpose for everyday people. So from a business and procurement perspective, we're here to help you gain those efficiencies across your portfolio. The end game for some of our largest customers is ensuring that they can green tag these assets for green bonds within the global market. This is a very, very important and significant step. If we have more groups looking to residential assets to be able to undertake this, there is wonderful economic upsides for these institutions, which again, money pays, money does make decisions come about. So for me, this is our way of embedding that climate action, because ultimately the decision makers have the opportunity to get an upside as well. For us though, behaviour change is probably the most important for our team at Valii. We want to see the electrification of homes happen at scale across Australia. We don't believe that we're the only ones who'll be able to influence this transition plan. There's many excellent examples of the ways Hubble is one that are working across community in other areas to be able to start doing the sector uplift. So the climate literacy that we're seeing across institutions will only grow, and the more we will be able to have more trusted sources of truth for home electrification. This slide is in here as a bit of an example of why it's going to take a whole tribe to get things done. This is the National Australia Bank, some of my team, some of AWS's innovation advisory team from the US, as well as a team of UX, UI and machine learning specialists. We came together to work on a project together, and it wouldn't have been able to occur unless everybody had been in the room with their own unique experiences. And this is an example of the way in which Valii like to be able to collaborate. So on most of the projects we do run, we look to bring everybody into the tent to be able to fail fast, come up with things that meet the needs of our customers, but we tend to white label, and rather than looking to build at scale to commence the journey, we would rather be in a tent looking at what your wicked problems are, sorting them out and solving them with you so that we have the procurement to be able to bring these things to life into the future. So for Valii, We are Adelaide based. We have teams here in ThinkLab. We have some team on the East Coast in Melbourne and in Sydney. And are very, very happy about the fact that we're based here in Adelaide. There's lots of upside for us in being here in our own hometown. But I don't spend a lot of time here talking about us, so I'd like to say thank you to Ken for having us. We're ultimately here to ensure no home is left behind in our sustainability journey. So I think for those of you in the room that are working within the built environment, please always remember to consider those existing homes, those existing buildings, and how can we retrofit them so it does become the new normal. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Alice. I really appreciate the insight on Val AI, and I know for anything in regards to digital, even though I don't work in like software solutions or anything like that, there's just the only thing y'all can really showcase, like general terminology, right? It's like for the general public is sort of what they see, while there's so much back-end stuff. And I really appreciate you talking about the collaborations that really needed to happen just to make that possible. Connections between businesses as well as bright minds, knowing how to code, know how to different kind of web servers and all those other kind of things that we never think about. We only think about having a software solution that can actually help us crunch numbers and help us get the data that we need and analyze it. So yeah, once again, really appreciate the insights and just the amazing kind of leverage points that both yourself and Pia have showcased that is available through these sort of solutions. Could y'all just join me in giving another supportive round of applause for our presenters? Yeah.